All right, we're live.
Let's go.
All right, good afternoon, everybody. My name is Alex Vidal, president of an amazing company called Related ISG International Realty. And I'm actually sitting here with the vice president of my parent company, the Related Group vice president, JP Perez. JP, thanks for joining me, man.
Glad to be here.
Yeah, finally got JP. He'll tell you, even though he's the vice president.
He'll get you.
I will hound you to get on the show if I want you on the show. This is episode number 38. JP's very busy, but he said, hey, I'll give you 10, 15 minutes. Let's go through it. And I have 8 questions for him. So you ready?
Ready.
All right, let's rock. JP, now you're like me. You're one of the few guys that were born and raised in South Florida, went to Chicago, went to New York. Now you're back here. Tell us a little bit about your path to becoming the vice president of what is the largest high-rise developer in the country, the Related Group.
Well, after graduating UM, I came to start my career here in Related. And then my father was like, no, actually, no, you're not working for the company. You need to go and work outside the company for 5 years at least. So that's where it sort of pushed me to get out of Miami. And so I went to New York. I worked for Related New York for 7 years. Mm-hmm. In a very interesting time, obviously. I started in 2007.
Oh, the fun times.
So the first year was very fun. Prices were going up. Nothing could ever go down. And then, October, November 2008, just the crash. And I spent the next 6 years there. It was mostly workouts, analyzing, trying to buy distressed debt, raising funds for distressed opportunities. So it was very financially oriented those first 6-7 years, which actually gave me a very good foundation for when I moved to Miami in 6 years ago. So when I came to Miami, development was already picking up again. I didn't really have that construction experience, working with the architect, laying out the floor plans, doing the sales and marketing, but I had the financial side. So I knew how to make the deal and understand the numbers side. And then over the past 6 years, I've probably been involved now close to $2.5 billion worth of projects.
Wow.
It's been a great run.
So what's your favorite project? I asked this to Carlos when I met with Carlos.
My favorite project.
This is not on here, sorry.
I would say my favorite project right now is definitely Wynwood 25.
Interesting.
It's a deal that I found on my own. I brought to the company. I negotiated from soup to nuts, start to finish. Mm-hmm. It appeals to more of sort of my generation, right, the millennials. So the whole design was focused around sort of what I like, what would I want it to be in a building. How would I design? How would I even lay out the units? What designer should I bring in? Brought in a guy from Williamsburg. And it's actually coming to completion now in the next 2 months.
Cool. Actually, I want to talk to you about Wynwood 25 off camera. Okay. All right, see how we can help you out. Now, you said you're a Cane. Are you going to go to the Cane Gator game?
I am a Cane. I don't go to many. I went to one Canes basketball game this year.
Okay.
It was not the most exciting thing.
It's basketball. They're not really known for their basketball. Actually, they are known for their basketball.
But yeah, I probably go to 2 or 3 Canes games a year in the football.
You going to go to the Gator game this year? First time in like 6-7 years.
Is it in Miami?
It's in Orlando.
I won't go.
You won't go?
No, I don't travel for Canes games.
Oh, dude, it's the Cane Gators. All right, now, and we both wear this, right? We're both heavily invested in South Florida's real estate market. And being invested in the South Florida real estate market is not for the faint of heart. Do you have any systems or habits in place that kind of get you in that or help you stay in that motivated, positive mindset?
Yeah, I mean, as developers, you're always optimistic, right? Yeah. You have to be. And being in Miami, and I've seen it now, is that there's going to be ups and downs. There's going to be great times, there's going to be slow times. You're going to sell 30, 40 units a month. Sometimes you'll sell 5, 0. But we structure it in a way that every 2 weeks, right, we go through every project, have an updated sales and marketing analysis, and sort of see where the market's going. So we're able to react very quickly. Got it. Right? We don't want to be, there's a trend happening, whether it's good or bad, and then find out about it and be late to the game. Right? If we need to cut prices or we need to raise commissions, we want to be the first to act, so we're not behind the 8 ball when that happens.
Yeah. That's an interesting aspect. Everybody looks at it and says, I work out in the morning, or I do this or I do that. And really what you're doing is to stay in that motivated, positive mindset, you're just always analyzing and making adjustants.
Always analyzing.
This is episode number 38.
I mean,
first person to say
on
that.
top of in the morning trying to get your morning workout routine in. But other than that, I mean, the business-wise, you always, especially in what we're playing, you just have to be on the 8 ball at all times.
At all times. So let's talk about Miami. And usually I have it written here, but I'm going to ask it a little differently. I always ask, anytime I meet with a developer, what should every realtor be including in their elevator pitch to their clients about Miami? But let's say you're looking for an investor that's looking to, whether it's a realtor or an investor site, what are you telling people about Miami? Why should they invest in Miami?
Well, I mean, Miami's number one, tax with the whole new tax law, right? That should always be brought up if you're talking to an investor that's living in the Northeast. And obviously, we've been seeing a lot of action from the Northeast lately. Also, I think just if you compare pricing from where Miami is to the other great markets like New York, Chicago, LA,
sure,
we're half the price. Half the price. We have a lot more room to grow. All the cultural institutions are now established, and there'll be more and more. And on top of that, the quality of life. I mean, I lived in New York for 6 years, so I know it firsthand, right? I mean, I would be in the office at 9. I would leave at 9 or 10 o'clock at night, sometimes not see daylight, and it's freezing. And, no matter how wealthy you are in New York, it's still the quality of life doesn't compare to Miami.
Got it. And that, I would agree with you. And I'm hearing that a lot about the tax changes definitely are making a major impact on Miami. It's being a big one. Now, we're in an interesting real estate climate right now. What advice do you have for the realtor community about how to best sell under construction? There's not really pre-construction out there right now, but under construction projects.
Selling, I would still sell it as the fact that we're still relatively cheap, right? And typically when you look at, because if you compare under construction to already built construction, typically the under construction would be more expensive than the one that's already built, right? Yeah. And the reason is because that one's already been lived in. It's been open for 1 or 2 years or more. So pre-construction, under construction is always going to be priced higher. And they're typically over the long run, if you look at Miami historically, it does appreciate, right? I mean, you shouldn't be telling buyers, hey, but tomorrow it's going to be worth, if you bought it for 10, it's going to be worth 12. Yeah. You have to tell them, look, historically, real estate prices have always gone up. Miami is a market that has always had some little bit of bumpy roads, but at the end of the day, it's always going up because we're the capital of South America. And even more now. I mean, you have the Europeans coming. Sure. The Russians were coming before. They're coming back now. Brazil, Mexico, obviously. So that's sort of how I would phrase it, probably.
Yeah. And to harp on that a little bit, the Miami Report, which Craig Studnicki and ISG put out every year, they did a recent study where Miami has appreciated 9% year over year for the last 25 years. Yeah. And it's crazy. Now, so I love that. This one I'm specifically excited for. What's getting related excited right now about the future prospect of Miami, and where are you guys seeing those opportunities?
So we're looking at all different sorts of, call it, real estate programming deals. One would be this co-living, right? Okay. You keep hearing about it, and once you start hearing about it so much, you want to sort of dive into it and say, okay, it's probably going to be a reality. So if it is, we want to be the ones that are, at least doing a couple deals here in Miami in our backyard.
Sure.
Wynwood would have been a great one, but there was already, co-living wasn't really talked about as much. So we're specifically looking at sites that do maybe, partial co-living, then rentals on top. Another one we're looking at is to do projects in today's market are more boutique condos, anywhere from 60 to 100 units.
Interesting.
But very expensive.
Okay.
So obviously, Jupiter down, if we can find something on Miami Beach, that'd be great. And that's really the two areas where we're focused. Obviously, the rentals we're still doing in Broward, Tampa, Orlando. But really, those are the two new markets we're trying to expand in.
Wait, you guys are doing rentals in Orlando too?
Oh, yeah.
Interesting. My goal this year is to put Related ISG in both Tampa and Orlando.
Both great markets.
They are.
Should definitely be there.
We actually flew in a helicopter to because I used to think that Orlando was the size of this water bottle. It ended up being the size of this table. It's huge.
It's huge.
Now, going back to Miami a little bit, what are the challenges that you think Miami faces in the next 5-10 years, and what's being done by the not only Related but the development community as a whole, and even local government to kind of tackle those issues?
I would say the biggest challenge for Miami to get to where we want it to be is bringing, big corporations, high-paying jobs, right? Because, you have 4,000 rentals that are being developed right now between Brickell and Design District. Everybody needs to get $3 a square foot. It's pretty high rents. We need to bring in the jobs so they can fill these. They're going to get filled, but we need those jobs that are going to either fill these buildings and also sell domestically to our locals, sure. Right? Because 90% of our buyers, we're not selling to locals. You're coming either from they may be domestic, but they're domestic outside of Florida, right? So, in order for us to really get to where we want to be, we need developers can contribute. the city, Downtown Development Authority. Amazon would have been amazing. Would have brought thousands of jobs.
There's a report that they're pulling out of the Brooklyn community.
I just read about that. They have some political opposition or something like that,
Sure.
which doesn't make sense to me because if we would have won that, the politicians would have been jumping on trying to bring them in here. So that to me is the number one key issue that Miami needs to solve.
Better jobs.
Better jobs.
Okay. And wait, I want to circle back on something you said. 4,000 rentals between, you say, downtown and Brickell to the design district.
Yeah.
That's like a 3-mile stretch.
Midtown, Wynwood, Edgewater.
Wow. I was talking to somebody the other day, Midtown. I went to Archbishop Curley in Little Haiti. So, a few blocks away was the design district, and then you had Midtown. And I'll never forget driving up to that light at 36th Street and Northeast 2nd Avenue facing south. And what is Midtown today was a railroad yard with the cars stacked up. And now it's like a beautiful...
That's what I'm saying. So that was what? 10 years ago today?
18 years ago.
But 10 years ago today, Midtown wasn't there. 15 years. Now you look at it, you have Midtown, Design, Edgewater, Wynwood. It's Miami's changing so fast.
Overnight. Virtually, for a big city, overnight. Now, this one I've been wanting to ask you as well, because I think that both you and your brother are actually really special guys. And I mean that, you guys you're both special, And you particularly have been quoted as saying you have some big shoes to fill. Obviously, your dad is George Perez, the owner of the Related Group. What's your vision for when you and your brother do take over the Related Group, and what do you want your legacy to be?
Obviously, he has a very large, his legacy is, his shoes are size 16 right now. I'm at size 11, right? So I have a couple more sizes to grow. I hope I can grow there, which, having my brother back here, I think is great because I think we're both working together well. And having my father still in the business allows us to have a sounding board and still guide us. But my vision, I think will bring something different to the company, right? I mean, just the one example that's a concrete example is Wynwood.
Yeah.
He was never looking in Wynwood. And I brought it to him. It took me probably 3 months to convince him to do the deal.
Interesting.
Right? And if it wasn't for that, he just wouldn't have, he didn't understand it, right? Yeah. It's millennials, you go there, he's like, well, why do people hang out here? I'm like, people hang out here, like to shop, like to eat, like to go out. Co-living is another one, right? That's very new to him. Even though it's new to me, I can sort of still see how the future co-living is going to be a part of it's going to be a part of real estate. I mean, there's going to be projects that are either fully co-living or less co-living. But again, that actually co-living is interesting because it relates directly to jobs. The reason why co-living is even in existence is because of the price of rents, the price of housing. So Miami's other big issue, I don't want to get into that, is that affordability. Yeah. People in Miami spend over 40% of their income on rent or on living expenses, which is almost the highest in the country. Mm-hmm. So I think my brother and I think we bring a different look, right? A different set of eyes to seeing the different opportunities that have been created from all the social media, all this new technology that he's not in tune with, right? And then how do we take that and see those trends and then move the company in those directions? Got it. That's sort of where I think we really will bring value.
That's exciting, man. That's really exciting. I love that. Now, last question, and we're done, and we'll let you go on, man. Your book, TED Talk, podcast recommendation. Ask us in every single one.
Yeah, I know. This was the hard one, but the only podcast that I've listened to was a podcast of Rod Terwilliger. Okay. I may be pronouncing his name wrong, but he was the CEO and president of Trammell Crow, who was the largest, probably the largest in the history of the United States apartment developer. And it talks about how he joined the company and got that company from, call it, 1 or 2 offices to having offices across the country, and how he motivated or he created partnerships with different individuals in each of these states to give them ownership in those companies so they felt like, it was theirs. Sure. And then they grew those. So it was a very interesting way how he built a company and the way he led the company, right? He gave people really a sense of ownership, which I then think makes people want to work even harder because it's theirs.
Absolutely. Yeah. All right. Cool deal. JP.
That's it.
Thanks so much, man. We're done.
All right. Thank you.
Any parting words? Listen, let's end here. There's a bunch of projects going on. Wynwood 25 is the rental.
Wynwood 25 is the rental.
But on a sales side, what's your favorite project being built right now?
Armani.
Why? What's so special about it?
It's the most beautiful building I think we've done. When you're coming over Lehman Causeway onto Sunny Isles and you just look at the building, it's, I think, the biggest single building we've done, and the building grows as it goes up, and it's pure glass. So right now it still has the Blue Max on it, but once the Blue Max is off, I mean, it looks gonna look like a diamond in the sky.
There you go. All right. Thank you guys for watching. Learn more about the Related Group. Website is relatedgroup.com.
Relatedgroup.com.
Right? All right. Thank you guys for watching. Have a great weekend.